everyone, it's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. Today, Aptera put out two updates. One was on Twitter, and they show a piece of a die or a mold. I think the correct term is die. But these are the dies for making the carbon fiber SMC parts, and some of them might be for the regular SMC parts, the fiberglass SMC parts. And so you see this, and you see the little CPC embossing. You see right here, there's some texturing here, probably to allow gluing of the different pieces together. And looking at this, I believe that this is the die for the carbon fiber SMC door. If you look here, I believe it's this part right here that we're looking at. You see this area right here, and it's kind of squared off. So I think that's this little squared off area, and here's the place they're gonna glue stuff. So they're gonna glue something right along here. So I believe that is what we're looking at. If you guys think something differently, let me know in the comments below. The other thing that they released is, I'm sure that many of you guys have seen it, there is a video of an update. Steve and Chris are in Modena, Italy. They're at CPC. And they put out this video. It was for the accelerator investors, but it got posted all over Facebook, so it's out there in the public. So if you haven't seen it, I'm going to show it to you guys right here.
Hey Aptera fans from Modena, Italy. Chris and I and some of the team have been here for the past week doing a couple of things. We're meeting with some local investors both here in Modena and in Rome. And we also inspected some of the first finished tooling with CPC. Some of that tooling is going to be in operation pretty soon. And we've got some exciting pictures and video to show you. So, ciao.
This is like we're sitting inside the Aptera. Body side right, body side left. There's a matching mold that comes into this and basically stamps out the body sides. Every 8 minutes, a new Aptera part is born.
Okay, yeah, so let's go over some of the interesting parts about it. Steve says that they're talking to investors in Modena and in Rome, so that's great. And hopefully those are going to be some big investors. And we still haven't heard anything about the big investors, you know, the 50, the 10, $20 million investors that can get us to, you know, mass production. They are using the accelerator, like as they said in that Twitter part, they're using the accelerator money to get the parts that are kind of the longest lead time, which are these dies. And here's Chris with these dies. Now, we have seen these dies before. They were here. We saw this 2 months ago. And you can see at that time, this was a very rough cut. You can see a lot of the CNC machining lines. And now, when you look at this thing, it's very smooth, and this is the finished die. And then Chris says that you can stamp out a piece every 8 minutes. All right, so that's interesting, because if you look at this, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts here, and then 7, and then we know that each of the doors are 2. There is a CFSMC part and a regular SMC part, so that's 2. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So at least 15 parts. Well, then we forget there's the back hatch, so that's 16 parts. So 16 parts and then we have to figure out how many presses does CPC group have. So here's a press. So here's a die being pushed, and here's the CFSMC parts. And here's the die that on the two, and here's the presses here, here, here. And so how many presses do they have? They tell you right here. They have currently 9 presses, and they will go up to 20 presses. So they're going to add 11 more by the end of 2024. So by the time 2024 comes around, they're going to have 20 presses. So I'm guessing they're adding presses. So maybe they're going to have like 12 or 13 or 14 presses by the end of this year. So that means that they could, if they have every single one of their presses pressing out a different part, and each part takes an entire press. So that means like there's a possibility that you could have one die that presses out 2 parts at the same time. And I believe that's what's happening. And I'll show you why I believe that's happening to some extent. But worst case scenario, if each die pushes out 1 part, you could push out an entire Aptera every 8 minutes, the body panels for an entire Aptera every 8 minutes. If they're running 10-hour days and they're running 5 days a week, 52 weeks out of the year, in 1 year they would produce enough body panels for about 25,000 Aptera. So that would mean that they would take almost 2 years to get through the current backlog. Now, they can easily get past that by running the thing 24 hours, and maybe they do that. A lot of manufacturing plants do run 24 hours. They run like 3 shifts or something. And if they did that, they would easily get through. And then especially if they started working through the weekends, like they're running it 6 days a week or 7 days a week, they would push through at least 60 or 70 Aptera body panels in a year. So I think they have plenty of capacity for that. Now, obviously they're gonna ramp up a little more slowly than that, because I'm sure they have a lot. They're working with Lotus and Lamborghini and Ferrari and Bugatti and McLaren. They're doing parts for a lot of different companies, so they're not gonna dedicate all 20 of their presses to Aptera, I'm sure. But it looks like they are gonna have the capacity to, if they wanted to, if Aptera really took off, because the other cars that CPC is working with are kind of exotic cars that don't have very much volume. Aptera might be the highest volume vehicle that they're working on, when it finally makes it to market. Okay, so the other thing, let's kind of go through this video. Now there's this piece that you see there. It's being CNC machined now, and I believe if you look at this, this is, I think, the carbon fiber hood. And if you look at this, I think this is the part that's being this is the part that die is gonna do, because you see these 2 areas right here, they match up to these 2 voids here, and the rest of this, it looks like the hood to me. If you guys think differently, let me know in the comments below. Yep, it's definitely the hood. Okay, now here's a look at that large die again. And I don't know what it is, but machined polished metal is just very aesthetically pleasing to me. I don't know if anyone else feels that, but just looking at this, it just looks nice. Okay, this is why I think they're stamping out multiple pieces. See, so this is the body panel, but then there's this thing right here. And this is obviously a totally separate piece, unless I just don't understand how this works. So it seems like they are pushing out a different piece right here in addition to this piece. And it's really cool. You can see right here, you can see the indentation for the light, and a little thing so that the light fits into here well. So this thing is just really, it just looks cool. And it's impressive to see. Okay, let's go back a little bit. It's impressive to see how much better, and like, just look at this compared to what it looked like here. It's just a night and day difference. So this is what it used to look like, and now this is what it looks like when it's finally done. Okay, so then we go on further in this video. Yeah, so there's the little tail light piece. Okay, these guys are working on the complementary piece for that. So you can see that this is convex and fits into that concavity. And see, you can see this is that separate piece that I think is another piece that they're going to stamp out of the same die. And I can't figure out what this piece is. I'm not sure what piece this is. If any of you guys know or can figure it out, let me know what you think that this is. And then here's the other complementary piece for the other side. And so these things are going to be loaded onto those giant machines that we see right here. And one's going to be the top and one's going to be the bottom. And they're just going to stamp out these things every 8 minutes. Okay, so that's it. So really exciting stuff. We see the finished dies. They're cutting more and more dies. And they're using the accelerator money to cut those dies. So that's going to be the longest lead time. And we're seeing concrete evidence of progress. And I just have to say, these machined metal dies, they just look great. They're just so precise and so intricate. And like I didn't realize that you could just put the texturing directly on the die, but that just makes sense, right? It saves time. You don't have to texture it afterward. You can just like stamp it on. It already has the texture in there. So hopefully in the next few months we start seeing the actual parts being pushed out of these things, and that'll be pretty exciting. Okay, so that was, I think, a very exciting update from Aptera. And tell me what you guys think. And thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.